It's finally here, sorta. Yes, I've finally gone around to making my Sonic Robo Blast 2 mod ranking after finishing all 3 members of Team Kinetic, but I've changed my mind on how I'm going to do it. I've probably done about 60 mods by this point, so I'm going to be splitting the ranking into multiple smaller episodes, with the final ranking in the final episode, each with 13 separate mods. Theoretically, in alphabetical order. I say theoretically because said order is taken from my SRB2 episode folder, and due to my extremely witty titles, they're realistically all over the place. Before anyone asks, for mods that add multiple characters or stages, I'll rank each stage or a character as a separate entry. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. Microsoft Sam has the unfortunate honour of being the only mod I've covered that wasn't either a stage or a character, and so immediately loses a lot of points in terms of wow factor. Essentially, every single caption in the game is now read by Microsoft Sam, and that's it. While it is certainly impressive just how many sound effects Sam recognises, the mod was designed mostly to be a haha funny quirky AI goes brrr moment, and lacks any substance beyond that. I read how loud the mod got. He had multiple sound effects happening at once and tried to make a funny meme, but it was so disappointingly quiet that I had to manually increase the volume for it to be even vaguely special. Compared to some other effects we'll get to later, there's nothing that makes you really think, I didn't realise that was possible on the Doom engine, and so I feel comfortable giving Microsoft Sam's sound effects a 3 out of 10. This is but the first of many mods we'll be covering that were definitely designed for pros before casuals, because of just how high the skill floor is for basic play, and I feel that that is a shame. While the vanilla experience of SLB2 certainly has a higher skill ceiling than many other games, especially Sonic games, I still feel that every character is still fun to play if you aren't particularly skilled, and the base roster is still plenty versatile without you needing to spend hours practicing. Sadly, old Sonic is extremely difficult to keep at a high speed, and many of his abilities lack the flow I've come to expect from the game. Many of his abilities cancel each other out unless you have near perfect reaction time, and I feel that I was going slower with him than base Sonic, when his entire purpose is to be faster than base Sonic. He also gained little points when it comes to the smaller details, as most of his sprites are very similar to the OG Sonic. However, he certainly seems like a character who really only shows his worth when you persevere with him. I'm sure many more experienced players will be furiously typing in the comments about how I'm completely wrong, and he is actually one of the best mods out there. So due to the community I've seen build around him, I'm be giving him a perhaps unearned 6 out of 10. The first of relatively few zones on this list, Aqua Paradise is pretty decent. Very similar to zones like Hydro City and Deep Sea, it does get docked a few points due to overuse of the Sucker Punch crab meats, as I like to call them. While on paper it has a good water to land ratio, in practice these areas are neatly segregated into large blocks of just land or just water, compared to Deep Sea's or Hydro City's more mingled approach. I do like the mini boss at the end, and I'm surprised so few mods utilise them. An alright zone, 7 out of 10. This is a Joe character. If you played with some before, you'll know most seem pretty funny at first, but quickly lose appeal as you realise that they are usually fairly shallow and lack depth. This is the case here. I will admit that at the time I was unable to utilise a fireball attack, which is mapped to custom 1 due to problems with my controller. But, considering how mundane the rest of her moveset is, I doubt it would have made much of a difference to my opinion. She only has 2 abilities, a long jump and a weird spin thing, but both are fairly boring and lack interesting sprites. True to her name, she lacks many sprites at all. The only significant and unique thing she actually has is the fact he changes the boss theme, so it's a good thing that's a fairly cool song. Couldn't track where the 2 colliding themes are from, but I don't need to know the song's origins to know I like it. I'll give this mod a 4 out of 10. A very similarly named zone to Aqua Paradise, but don't let that confuse you. Beyond the purple and blue colour scheme, these are 2 completely different zones. First off, Azure Paradise has a brilliant feel to it. Incredible, relaxing music, beautiful backgrounds and unique sprites all combine to create a zone that really gives me the same vibes as a Sonic CD level. I also think that this map is the single best usage of slopes I've seen in an SRB2 map, official or otherwise. The map isn't perfect, the routing is very confusing and it's hard to figure out where to go next, but it's the aesthetics and slope usage combined to make a level that I'm more than happy to give a 9 out of 10. Similar to old Sonic, I feel that being the Dynamite is a high skill boundary that will make him off-putting to a more casual player. First off, the good. Bean's sprites are incredible, they exude personality and all are consistently high quality. His abilities are also unique, something that a lot of mods I find lack. Using his bombs, you can propel yourself in air, or by using 3 at once, destroy objects like spikes or breakable walls. However, how the bombs will propel you is so unpredictable that Bean can feel near uncontrollable at times. In my 40 or so minutes of playing as him, I found it to be extremely difficult to replicate moves and technique I had easily done just a few moments before, and it was hard to tell whether bombs are going to propel me upwards or to the side, creating a deeply frustrating character to play. It appears people will agree with my opinion, as compared to characters like Espio the Chameleon or Saru the Hedgehog, I found extremely few speedruns or showcases of Bean. Due to the extreme frustration and primal rage Bean the Dynamite makes me feel, I have to give this mod a 5 out of 10. I would have given it a 4 out of 10, but his sprites have bumped him up a point. Another character I had a lot of trouble with, Boon Sonic is based off the version of Sonic that appears in Sonic Boom. Therefore, expect a lot of beams, quips, and a metric ton of sports tape. Boon Sonic suffers from the same problems I feel a lot of characters with tethers have, in that there's little indication on what they are actually going to tether onto, or indeed, whether they're going to tether onto anything at all. Boon Sonic does have the slight advantage of having a lot of abilities beyond just the tether, such as his war jump or his ability to kick bandits. But just due to the fact that the central ability that should tie the entire moveset together doesn't really work well, the aforementioned tether, I'm going to have to give Boon Sonic a 6 out of 10. Oh boy. Much like R.PNZ, Bubsy is a joke character, and I therefore expected him to lack much substance. However, I'm going to have to give Bubsy some credit here. I was pleasantly surprised by how good the mod was. While Bubsy's ability is somewhat lacking, a slow and fairly pathetic float, it was his weaknesses that really surprised me. Stay true to his game's nature, Bubsy takes fall damage, has a chance of instantly dying when touching enemies, and perishes instantly if he is fully submerged in water. Now, I don't pretend to know how to make an SRB2 mod, so for all I know this is very easily programmed, but I think this is the only mod I've played to have any of these weaknesses. So while the sprites may be messy, and his constant quipping is annoying, his unique weaknesses have given me a reason to give this mod a 7 out of 10. He groovin', 9 out of 10 easy. But in all seriousness, something about how simplistic this mod is actually makes the entire thing really fun to play. The main character out of the trio called Team Kinetic, Dirk is a cryokinetic, who has the same abilities as literally every other cryokinetic character ever created. That's not a bad thing, as the lack of ice-based characters on the modding scene still lets this be a fairly unique character. Essentially a mixture of Cloud Mario and Frozone, Dirk can create platforms of ice in mid-air, fly around on an ice surfboard and freeze the top of water. While these are all pretty cool powers, pun not intended, there can still be some improvements. For starters, the platforms that he can create are so small that if you already have some momentum when landing on it, you can very easily fall off the platform simply due to him slipping when landing on it. Secondly, the fact that you need to roll before using his board can make him feel a little sluggish in some circumstances. However, he's generally very polished and his sprites are good, so I feel that I can justifiably give this character an 8 out of 10. Yet another Joe character. Eggman/him, depending on who you ask, has barely any unique animations, a fairly standard ability, nothing that sets him apart from the rest. So why on earth do I like him so much? I think it's because, unlike R.PNZ, I actually find the mod to be very funny. The lack of animations and his powerful stance definitely makes him feel like a 21st century humour kind of character, and unlike R.PNZ, his basic ability still has enough nuance to give him some access to some cool secret areas. While I think his ability is perfect for the currently non-existent Mighty mod, I'm willing to give this guy a 7 out of 10. While this character may start off as feeling slow and unwieldy, and his abilities are more suited for killing enemies rather than traversing levels, Imposter is still a very fun character. His moveset perfectly complements the game he represents, and it's never not fun to report bosses and instantly kill them. Between the cooldown times and the ability to change the type of kill you use, there's a fair amount of strategy to how you use him to complete levels in the fastest times possible that can be lacking from other characters. My one gripe with the mod isn't even really its fault, as it comes down to the fact I seemingly can't bind my custom to and special commands to separate buttons, which means he often does the funny Amogus drip rather than vent. I feel like my life expectancy has dropped by 15 years rereading that paragraph. 9 out of 10. It's only fitting that I end part 1 of this 4 to 5 part series probably, with one of the classics, the Egg Pack. Between the expansive moveset and high quality sprites, Egg Pack definitely does deserve this label a classic, as he is insanely fun to play as. With his main ability being a limited time to fly, the mod incidentally creates tension, as you're always thinking, how long until I run out of fuel? Can I make this gap? Being heavier than base roster, the egg pack forces a slower and more methodical approach to the game, which radically changes how you play through every level. Overall, definitely one of the mods on this list with most effort put into it, granting this mod a perfect 10 out of 10. So with the first 13 mods summarised, let's see how the ranking stacks up so far. In the last place spot, we have the Microsoft Sam sound effects. In 12th, we have R.PNZ. In 11th, we have Beam the Dynamite. In 10th, we have Boon Sonic. In 9th, we have Oat Sonic. In 8th, we have him, aka Eggman. In 7th, we have Aqua Paradise. In 6th, we have Bubsy. In 5th, we have Dirk the Husky. In 4th, we have Deton. And starting off the top 3, we have Among Us Imposter in 3rd place. In 2nd, so close to the top, we have Azure Paradise. And I think the number 1 spot, so far, we have the Egg Pack. And that wraps up part 1 of this ranking and simultaneous summary/review. If you disagree with my ranking, as I'm sure at least someone does, say in the comments below. Finally, if any of the mod creators feel I've ranked their mod too low, please don't hurt me. Ciao.